What's going on, everybody? So I just got done watching Psycho 1960 version, that shot-for-shot remake. I will not be doing that one in this franchise. I will be covering the first four, and I will not be doing the remake. Just letting you know that right up front. I don't see any reason why I should waste my time and money on something that is the same freaking movie. That's what I've heard from everybody, so I'm gonna go off of that. I even researched it, and yeah, it really is just a shot-for-shot remake. But we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about this movie. The movie I just saw for the second time. The first time in January, and I just watched it, and I didn't want to review it, so I was waiting for me to actually sit down and do the whole franchise, and I haven't seen any of these movies, so this will be my first time watching all of them, except for this one, of course, my second time. But I will say this movie still holds up the second viewing. All the things I liked about it the first time, I still like, and all the things I did not care for, wish wasn't there, still same thing. And yes, I am not going to say this movie is perfect. All films have their flaws. So this will not be that typical YouTube review of the classic Alfred Hitchcock Psycho that says this movie's a classic and nothing's wrong with it. No, I do have a few things that I want to nitpick about it, and I will say it because I'm going to give you my honest review. That's what you subscribe to, that's what you expect, and I'm going to give it to you. But yes, this movie is a classic, and a couple of interesting things about it. Apparently, Alfred Hitchcock, there's a lot of rumors surrounding this film. Alfred Hitchcock bought every single copy of the book that this movie is based on so that no one could, learn about it. Like, oh, there's a new movie coming out based on a book. I'll get the book and then read it and then see the movie. He bought all the books, apparently, somehow. He's got a lot of money, I guess. Burning that money. And just bought all the books and then released the movie so no one could know what the twist was. That might be bullshit, but it's an interesting thought. Another interesting thing about it is that Alfred Hitchcock told all the theaters that played this movie to not let anyone in late. If you were a minute late, get the fuck out of here. See the next showing. Because apparently you need to see every single second of this movie to appreciate it. And while I will say, yeah, every scene is necessary, it all drives the story forward, but really, you're going to not let people in your theater to see your movie? It seems a bit egotistical. And this is basically the first movie to be based off of the killings of Ed Gein, who also inspired Texas Chainsaw Massacre and other movies, probably like Halloween 2, but this movie also inspired other movies like Friday the 13th and Halloween. There's definitely things in this movie that you can say, this is definitely what they were copying in Friday the 13th, Halloween. This is an inspiration to other horror slashers, and it's probably the reason why we got those slashers. This is probably the one that started it all, and let's go over it in this week's Horror Franchise Wednesday.
Psycho.
Alright, let's talk about Psycho, starring John Gavin, who used to be an ambassador to Mexico. Did not know that. And it also stars Janet Leigh, the mother of Jamie Lee Curtis, who would be in Halloween, ironic enough. And this movie has, again, all kinds of things that are homages in Halloween. We got Sam Loomis as a character in here, Sam Loomis Hardware. And we got a person named Chambers, Marian Chambers, the nurse in Halloween. Lots of stuff like that. This movie also stars Anthony Perkins, of course, as Norman Bates. The things that I love about this movie is what everybody else loves about this movie, and that is the characters, really, the story. Everything is important. Every scene in this movie is needed. You take one thing out, it doesn't work. I think Alfred Hitchcock's direction and his camera work and a lot of scenes in this movie is excellent, and I love the tension building also. There's a scene that I think has the most tension, and it's not what you would think. It's the cop scene whenever he's pursuing Janet Leigh's character, Marian. He's just following her, and we can all relate to this situation where you're driving down the road and there's a cop behind you, and you know you did nothing wrong, but for some reason you think you did something wrong. In this case, she did do something wrong, so she has every reason to be scared. But then he gets off the exit, and she's like, whew, that was I thought he was about to pull me over again. There's not a whole lot of tension building in this movie, especially around the deaths. It's kind of quick, but that scene alone had the most tension, and I was biting my nails. Like, is she about to pull her over? But yes, the characters. Marion Crane. We got this woman who's having this relationship with a guy. It's a secret for some reason. I don't know if I missed something, why it has to be a secret, but she's screwing this one guy, and they're going to a hotel, and this is taboo for the time. Ooh, 1960. This is the first time you saw an unmarried couple on bed. Oh, this movie's very naughty. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, you see her flush a toilet later. Oh man, that's perverted. I don't know how much more I can take. Yeah, apparently movies back in the day, they didn't show toilets, especially toilets flushing. This was the first, apparently. But she wants to start this life with this new person. She wants to just escape. And so she steals $40,000, which today would be like over $250,000. It's a lot of money. And she's just on the run, and then she even has a character arc for someone who doesn't last too long in the movie, spoiler alert. But the performances we get from her, like every time she has to be like nervous, and she's like speaking like fast. Whenever you're nervous, you start to speak kind of quick. I think there's just great performances in this movie from every single character, really. And like how all the guys, it seems like every actor from the 1950s and 60s was like Elvis Presley, or they had the same like hairdo and they had the same voice. They all had that same like radio voice. And then you get Anthony Perkins, who plays Norman Bates, and I just love the way he portrays him, his line delivery. He also has a moment where he, like Marion earlier, is now the one who's nervous and being interrogated and being followed. And he does just as good a job, if not better. And there's moments of dialogue in this movie that are just great. You learn about his character, you learn about her, and just like that lunch scene with them together when you're learning about Anthony, and there's subtle hints to what the twist will be later on, like little Easter eggs dropped. He's like creepy and he's so nice but creepy at the same time. He has this charm to him. He's like introverted and he just wants company. He's sick of running this hotel by himself, but he feels like he's stuck there, and she's trying to like talk him out of it. And I must say, for a black and white movie, this movie has some pretty good cinematography in some scenes, and I love the way some of the scenes are lit and shot, especially that house, the way like the atmosphere of that house, it's creepy. It's that big old mansion and the way it's like lit, and they got like the clouds moving behind it. It's one of my favorite shots. And I just love that the story is unique, definitely for its time and today. And I haven't seen anything like it. And one last positive I must give this movie is the score by Barry Harriman, Bernard Harriman, which is German for Mr. Man, which is weird. But the score is iconic. It really intensifies scenes, especially the shower scene, which is iconic. Lots of iconic moments from this film. And that score is just awesome. It really just like makes everything intense, even when there's like nothing going on. When the movie opens and nothing's really happened, and you got that score going, it's just like, holy shit, I'm in for a thrill ride. And when you listen to it and you've seen Friday the 13th, you're like, I can see the influence that this had on Friday the 13th, or Friday the 13th, vice versa. Like Friday the 13th took that score and ripped it off completely. But unfortunately, there are a few little things that I want to get into that I don't like. But before we do that, I must say that the Clapper Award for best scene in this movie is the lunch with Norman scene. I really just love their back and forth, their dialogue. He goes from like charming to like kind of sinister back to charming again. It's an awesome performance by Anthony Perkins, and I think this is like easily the best performance in this movie. It's my favorite scene, so there you go. And the Hottest Chick Award definitely goes to the one and only Janet Leigh. She gets half naked, gets in the shower, and we get to see her belly button. How sexy. This movie is very perverted for its time. Now, the little things I do not care for in this movie. First up, I'm not going to spoil it. This is not the spoiler section, so I will go into more detail later. But I feel like this movie has to cheat in order to sell its twist ending. And I do not like that. And another thing I do not care for is the way that the second death in this movie is shot. Even the first one is kind of aged with the way it's shot. You can tell that the person's not being stabbed at all. But the second one especially, and you can't use like, oh, it was 1960, so you have to excuse it. No, I'm not going to excuse it. There's ways to shoot around it. Right? Camera's a camera. You can put it in any angle you want. You can shoot a death scene a million ways and make it work. I do not like the way Alfred Hitchcock did the second death in this movie. It doesn't scare me. All it does is make me laugh. Every time I see him go, whoa, whoa. When he's falling down the stairs, I just crack up every fucking time. I'm like, really? This is how we're doing this? They storyboarded this death. They're like writing pictures on a fucking like chalkboard. Like, all right, we're gonna have the camera here. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna set up the system. I'm interested to see how they did that because it looks like it's all one thing. He's like going all the way down the stairs. It's corny as shit, but I think it ages the movie and it doesn't look funny. It looks funny. It's not scary. So it ages it and it's not Like I said, it's just dumb. They could have reshot that. And the third thing I do not care for is the 5-minute exposition I get at the end. Like, I'm an idiot. Maybe everybody in 1960 were idiots and they didn't get it. And they're like, I need more explanation. Tell me what I just saw. It's like, I know what I just saw. I put it together. We got all the information we needed throughout the whole movie. All the little subtle things about his father and, you know, your mom's your best friend and blah, blah, blah. We got all that information. We could piece it together real quick. And if you have to do an exposition scene, make it like a minute. Make it like a 30-second summary. But this guy goes on for like 5 fucking minutes. But yeah, I do not care about that at all. I think they could have trimmed that down or gotten rid of it or just, like I said, make it quick. But before we move into my spoiler discussion, the best shot in this movie, I hinted at it earlier, is the house with the lighting behind it, the moonlight, the clouds, Norman walking up to it. Every time you get that shot of the house, I think it's iconic. It's like a wallpaper shot. You can screenshot that and make it your wallpaper. Now let's get into my little spoiler discussion where we dive more into the film and I point out little things and we just dive into it. Let's do it. This movie won no Oscars, by the way. No Oscars for this movie. That's a fucking crime. Alright, the opening credits in this movie, again, Friday the 13th, ripped it off. You got like the names that pop in, they're like in different corners, like the names in this corner, now it's in this corner, and that one. That's what Friday the 13th does in like all their movies. It's like, boom, boom. I don't know anyone else who does that. Freddy doesn't do that. Halloween movies don't do that. But the opening credits, it's just like Friday the 13th. And then the movie says like Friday the 11th, December. And I thought that was like, I was like, oh, if that said Friday the 13th, what would the odds be of that? You know, like, that would be another ripoff. But interesting fact about that, it only has a date. It didn't need one. You know, the story, the plot, it doesn't call for it. It's not necessary. But the reason why Alfred Hitchcock did that is because he's a perfectionist. And when it has that establishing shot of like Arizona, you can see Christmas decorations somewhere. So he's like, well, now I gotta say it's December. I gotta let people know. So something like that. I didn't see any Christmas decorations. We get Alfred Hitchcock cameo. Very brief, and it's in the same scene that his daughter is in. She has a very small part, and she says something like, I declare, which is something that no one says anymore. But yeah, Alfred Hitchcock has a cameo just like Tarantino, and Tarantino once said that the remake is his favorite. He prefers it over the original. Blasphemy. Then we get the scene where the cowboy guy comes in with $40,000. He's waving it around like, I'm so rich. And then Marion's like, oh yeah? Boom! Takes it, snatches it, runs off. And then she's like driving down the car and we get like this Pulp Fiction moment. Maybe Tarantino borrowed this. And she's like in the car, like waiting at like at a stoplight, at a red light, and like the boss walks by and like does like a double check. It reminded me of Pulp Fiction when Ving Rhames sees Bruce Willis. Same exact moment. So I think that's a homage in Pulp Fiction. Anyways, yeah, she steals it because she wants to start a new life, blah, blah, blah. But then she pulls over the car because she was too sleepy, and then she falls asleep in her car. The cop pulls up, and just, like I said, her performance in that moment, awesome. The tension, like, is he going to catch her? And then he, like, follows her. Everything, like I said, all that. Great shit. Then she goes to buy a new car because she's like, oh, the cop knows my license plate. Now I'm on the run with $40,000. So she goes to buy a new car, and for some reason, the cop's tailing her. He, like, acted like he wasn't tailing her, and now he's, like, tailing her again 40 miles later. Because it said, like, Bakersfield, 44 miles away, and then she's, like, in Bakersfield the next scene. And there's the cop following her. For what reason? I guess he really is suspicious of her. For good reason, I guess. But I like how, like, she never confronts him. Like, hey, what the fuck you doing? I thought I was clear. I would have confronted him. And then she buys the car. He pulls up, sees her license plate again. So it's like, what are you going to do? Stop at the next dealership and buy another car or buy a new license plate? And that never pops up again. Like, it's never mentioned again. So I was like, okay. And you bought a new car so you could get away with your crime. And now the cop knows what your new car is. So if he gets wind of your situation, he knows what car to report. So, again, like, I don't know. I thought that was weird. This is a funny moment when, like, the salesman comes out. He's like prepared to haggle. And, like, he's like, all right, I'll take your car plus $700. And she's like, deal. And he's like, whoa, really? All right, I would have given you a higher number. Then she's driving down the road and she has, like, all these thoughts in her head. And she's, like, smiling and reacting to her own thoughts. And at first I thought, like, this was actual shit happening, like we were hearing off-screen conversations. But I think it's just all playing in her head. Like, for some reason, she's driving down the road and she's, like, imagining what people will say about her.
No one's answering at the house.
I called her sister, Mr. Larry, where she works. The music maker's music store, you know. And she doesn't know where Marion is any more than we do.
You better run out to the house. She may be unable to answer the phone.
Then we meet Anthony Perkins playing Norman Bates, and I have to say, he reminds me so much of Andrew Garfield from Hacksaw Ridge and Amazing Spider-Man. He has his head size, his head shape, his mannerisms, his kind of like his voice almost. He seems like Andrew Garfield could be his son. Then we hear Norman's mom screaming from the mansion, and Marion can hear it clear as day somehow, like through her window and through the house, like 100 yards away through their window. Bullshit. And then this is the other thing that I was saying in my cons is bullshit. Because how, like, I don't care who the fuck you are. Norman Bates, I don't care how psycho you are. You can't pull that shit off. Especially when it was like 3 different voices. Like, there's 3 women playing this voice of the mother. And he's throwing his voice, and then he's also, like, sounding like his mother. That's purposely cheating to sell your twist. To deceive the audience, like, yep, the mom's still alive. It's like, there's other ways you can do that without cheating. Then we get my favorite scene, the lunch scene, and we get 2 iconic lines from this movie in that scene. We get, you know, a man's best friend is his mother.
Do you go out with friends?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
And then we hear, you know, this next line is in Scream. They pay homage to it. We all go a little mad sometimes. Then Marion decides not to steal the money, but doesn't matter because she's dead the next scene. He looks through like the hole in the wall. He's a peeping Tom. He's looking at her like get undressed. And I guess he starts falling for her in that moment. And that's why his mother's side takes over and kills her because he's getting horny for her. Although, I thought he killed her at first because she lied to him. Because she's like, oh, my name's Miss Crane. And then he looks at the registry for the hotel when she signed in. It's like, well, that's not what you wrote down. You bitch, you'll lie to me. I'm gonna fucking murder you now. Because then even later on, when he's talking to the PI, Asgergar, or what the hell his last name is, he's like, you know, she might have fooled me, but she didn't fool my mother. So I was like, oh, so it was because she lied to you. But then at the end of the movie, it's like, no, because he was horny for her. So which is it? Either one works for me, but I want to know which one is it.
But I'm not a fool.
Well,
And I'm not capable of being fooled, not even by a woman.
well, this is not a slur on your manhood. I'm sorry.
Let's put it this way. She might have fooled me, but she didn't fool my mother.
She starts writing down, like, what she owes, and then she, like, rips it up. I'm not sure what that meant. Like, was she, like, you know, this is how much I owe. No, it's like she just says she wants to give the money back, and now she's, like, ripping up paper. So I'm not sure what that symbolized. But it was just there because that's what they need to find later on, her sister, to know that she was there. As if a number meant anything. I don't know. I guess it would be an unbelievable coincidence that the same figure is on that paper. And unbelievable coincidence that her sister finds that paper. It's the one piece that doesn't flush and they can read it. And like the water of the toilet didn't like smear the ink. But this is when we get the iconic shower scene. He walks in with the wig. You can't see it. He's all silhouette. And he just stabs her like in 70 different cuts. It's like it cuts all over the place. You get all kinds of close-ups. This scene took a week to shoot, apparently. A whole week. Couldn't imagine. Just having to get naked all the time. Janet Leigh, although we never see her naked. Although some people say they swear they see a boob. I don't see it. And then we get the iconic shot of the blood going down the drain. Although it's not blood, it's chocolate syrup. That's what they used. Because when you're making a black and white film, it's kind of hard to tell what the blood is, you know. The blood, it's not thick enough when you use fake blood in movies, especially black and white, so they had to make it thicker, so they used chocolate syrup. It was a conscious decision to make this black and white, because apparently Alfred Hitchcock was like, well, you know, these 2 death scenes are going to be too gory. Puh, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's going to be too gory if we see red blood. We got to see black and white blood. Now it's not rated R. No, it's still rated R. Then Norman disposes of the evidence, and he puts everything in the car, except that scrap of paper. Puts everything in the car, and then he drives it right around the corner to this swamp, and it just sinks. And what I like about this scene is like the car like stops sinking, and he's like, oh shit. and then just starts sinking again. He's like, ah, yes. Thank you. Again, just the performance by Anthony Perkins in that moment. It's funny, and it's just awesome. It's realistic. I love it. Then we go to Sam Loomis Hardware, Dr. Loomis. And we see the PI guy. He gets hired by the guy that Marion stole from, and they don't want to press charges. They just want the money back. It's like, you steal over in what? It's $40,000, like I said back then. Today, $250,000. You steal $250,000 from me, pressing charges, and I'm killing your firstborn. But we see the PI, and I like that they established that he's actually going from hotel to hotel. They don't just lazily cut to him like, oh, the first hotel he checked was the right one. No, they even established like it's a whole week later. It took a whole week for this PI to go from every hotel in like a 60-mile radius to finally get to the Bates Motel. And when he gets there, he's asking Norman questions, and this is when it's his turn to be all nervous, and he's giving a great performance once again. Can't say it enough. Great performances. But what I don't get is why he all of a sudden like admits, like, oh yeah, she was here. It's like, he's got nothing on you. Literally, he's got nothing on you. That fake name means nothing. Like, he sees the PI sees the fake name on the registry, and he's like, oh, I bet that's her. And are you sure you haven't seen it? And he's like, oh, second thought, yeah. And it's like, you didn't have to say that. You could be like, well, that could be fucking anybody. That fake name could be anybody. That could be a real person. Look it up. I just don't get why you had to admit that he did see her. It makes you look less believable because 10 seconds ago you're like, I don't recognize that picture. And now you're like, oh yeah, no, I do. Now that I think you caught me. It's like, you just blew your cover, Norman. I thought you were smart and psycho. Then the PI breaks and enters. He's breaking and entering into the house. Not even knocking, not even ringing the doorbell. He thinks there's a woman up there. He saw a silhouette. He knows there's someone home, but he doesn't even knock or ring the doorbell. So the fact that he's breaking in, I'm just like, yep, kill him. He deserves it. And then this is when we get that stupid ass crappy shot death where you're like, whoa, oh, I'm falling down the stairs. They could have just shot a stuntman like falling down the stairs, like tumbling like they do nowadays. It's not like they didn't have the technology to throw a human body downstairs. It exists then, it always has. People, we've existed. Throw a fucking stuntman down the stairs, make it look real. Could you imagine in John Wick 2 when he's fighting Common and they were falling down that staircase? If they were just going like, whoa, throwing punches at each other, it would look fucking stupid, wouldn't it? Then we meet Sheriff Chambers. I think it's Marion Chambers, the nurse in Halloween, right? It's been a while. I don't remember names very good, so a homage, Halloween, to this. And then he picks up the phone and he calls the station, and there's a woman on the other line named Lori. Homage, Halloween. But then they reveal in the scene the sheriff and his wife, they go like, well, his mom's been dead for 10 years. And it's like, I feel like that shouldn't have been revealed in this moment. It should have been revealed with the body turning in the chair. That should have been the moment. But instead, they reveal it here, and then they still try to kind of make you think that maybe that's just bullshit. Like, somehow maybe she faked her death and she never was dead. But the woman was clearly like, no, she's dead. I picked out her casket. I feel like in that moment, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with the twist. Like, okay, you ruined it here. Big reveal. So it's like, that shouldn't have been there. It should have been the corpse reveal that was like, oh shit, she's been dead. Although, come on. I thought it was obvious up front. I think I was already told the twist years ago. My whole life I've heard about this movie and the twists and everything, so I never got the luxury of sitting down watching this movie knowing nothing. I kind of already knew Norman Bates is the killer. There's 4 movies. He's the face on all of them. I know he's the killer. We got the TV series that went on. I know he's the killer. But even trying to sit down and watch this as like a first-time viewer, not pretending like I don't know, I'm sitting here watching and I'm going, well, no shit. This seems very obvious. It's like, one, you're never seeing her face. Ever. Sure, and that voice thing, like I said, that's fucking trickery, that's cheating. But you're never seeing her face. And if she's the killer and they keep trying to make you think it's her, why wouldn't they show her face? Unless they're hiding something. Duh. But then we get the shot of Norman and he's walking up the steps. And he's walking so like feminine-like his ass is like shaking left and right. I was like, he's walking like a chick almost. Not to be mean or anything, it just looked like a chick. Maybe he's his mom in that moment. But just to touch base on this fact, apparently he was gay during this movie. Just throwing that out there. I know, Hail Mary, just throwing that out there right now. Maybe it's bullshit, but the internet says it. he was gay, apparently, according to the internet. The first 39 years of his life, Anthony Perkins was a homosexual, so during this movie, he was gay, and his character dresses in drag. And then he's walking up those stairs, and he's walking kind of feminine-like. But he did this, and then, come to find out, Anthony Perkins died at the age of 60 in 1992 from HIV. He got HIV, AIDS, and got pneumonia because of it or something. So if that's all true, just telling you. But yeah, apparently he was diagnosed with HIV the year he was filming Psycho 4. The same year that this movie got selected for the National Film Registry, so it's being preserved forever. Oh, and another fact, if this is true from the internet, Anthony Perkins' his wife died 9 years later on 9/11. Like, Norman Bates, his wife in real life died on 9/11. She was in one of the planes. I was like, holy fuck, did not know that. Here's a scene that I think is not needed, because to me, once again, I think it's revealing the twist too much. Like, it's ruining the twist. Because to me, it's just obvious. When he's carrying his mom, who's alive, and she's talking during the scene, but we don't see her lips moving, we don't see her face. Again, where are they hiding? But she's like, put me down! And she's like acting like she's struggling, and she's putting up this fight, like, I can move on my own. But she's not moving a fucking muscle, because she's dead. As he's like moving her down the stairs, like her legs aren't moving, her arms, her head, nothing. It's like, in that moment, the dialogue would suggest that she would be moving some, putting up a fight, kicking her legs, doing something, but she's just like, holding on. So I feel like that right there is not needed. If you're going to sell this twist, that is not needed. Like I said, I'm not going to praise this movie. I'm not going to sing the praises for this film like everybody else would. I'm going to point out things I think are fuck-ups, alright? Because every film is not perfect. I like that we see toys in Norman's room. It suggests that he's still a child at heart. See, like, little things can say a lot without saying anything. Like, no words need to be spoken. I can just see the visual and put the story together in my head. That's good storytelling. Good directing. Then we find the corpse, and Norman pops up and is like, oh, it's been him all along with the wig. Big surprise, not to me. And he's like, he goes to like stab her, but then the boyfriend comes in and he's like holding him down, and he's not putting up a fight at all. Is it because he's like, I'm my mom at this moment, and I'm ill, so therefore I'm not strong enough to fight back? Because if he was Norman in that mindset, in that moment, I think he could still fight back that dude, because he did 5 minutes ago. But instead, he's just like, I can't do anything. And he gets taken down pretty fucking easy. And then we get the 5-minute exposition saying, like, he's not a transvestite. He's just psycho. And then we get the iconic smile when he's like talking to himself. He's like, I'm not even gonna swat that fly. Which is used in See the Chucky. You know, ugh, fuck that movie. See the Chucky thinks it's so great that they're gonna try to rip a scene out of Psycho. Don't even try, buddy. But he just looks up at the camera and he smiles. I can't do it, because I can't smile for shit. And that's the end of the movie. Alright, it's over. What do I think about this movie? Final thoughts. Like I said, all the things, the performances are great. The atmosphere, the way it's shot, the story direction, the unique story, the unique kill the protagonist in the middle of the freaking movie, and then all of a sudden it's about this guy now and this girl trying to pursue her dead sister now. I love the story. It's unique. Love the score. Lots of things going for this movie. Just a few little things that I would change or take out to make it even better. But still a classic that everybody should see. I don't think it's a masterpiece. There's things that definitely age it. Things that I think that just kind of irritate me a little bit. Like I said, that second death. Awful. Awful the way they shot that. But still, at the end of the day, this is a classic. So when it comes to Psycho, highly recommend that you go out and buy it. And the Mr. Hat Award for Best Kill goes to Marion. The first death of 2 in this film. She gets stabbed over and over and over again in this iconic scene, and then she falls to the ground, and then she has to try to not blink for like a whole minute. I cannot do that. That must have been a hard shot to, like, just, alright, don't blink. But there's water. It's almost getting in my... Turn off the water. And the Mr. Twig Award goes to the second and last kill in the movie, and that is the PI guy who falls down the stairs. Blah, fall down the stairs. But then he gets stabbed twice off camera. So yeah, death by being stabbed to death and falling down the stairs like a Looney Tune. And those are my thoughts on the iconic Psycho. Post your thoughts of this movie in the comments below. When did you see it? Were you able to watch this movie not knowing the twist reveal? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hit this like button and share this video with all your friends. You can follow me on social media. Got social media links in the description box below. And I highly recommend becoming a subscriber, and you can do so just by clicking my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.